In this episode, I share a couple of messages from listeners that were supportive of the idea from last week's episode. My hope here is to make these ideas more normalized. They may be something that you agree with or maybe you need to hear, but no one else is really thinking and talking like this in the mental health arena from what I can tell. My name's Justin Sinceri. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist that thinks the world needs a new understanding of mental health. Welcome to Stuck Not Broken. And this is actually episode 150 of Stuck Not Broken, which is a milestone of sorts. Been at this for over 3 years. Thank you. If you've been here since episode 1, thank you for being here. If you're brand new, thank you as well. It's been great. And I feel like finally I'm starting to come into my own voice in a way. Like I said, these are not ideas I've heard anywhere else, even though they seem pretty common sense to me. But no one talks in this way, from what I can tell. By the way, this podcast is not therapy, nor is it intended to be a replacement for therapy. So last week I talked about the idea that it's just you. There are no parts, there's no shadow, there's no light, there's no reparenting, there's no ego. There's no this and that. It's just you. I actually made a poster for this. It's 11 by 17. It's on my website, justinlmft.com. If you go to the blog and then to episode 149, the podcast notes, the show notes for that episode, you'll see a poster there that can be downloaded for whatever you want to do, or print it out if you have 11 by 17 paper, or just download it and have it. I'll put a link in the description as well. If I remember to, I often forget about doing that. So that was the case that I made last week, and I felt like I did a pretty good job with laying out, look, these can be helpful, and I'm going to say that over and over again. Yes, these can be helpful. I am not trying to take that away from you. Maybe I kind of am, but these can be helpful. But I also don't think they're necessary. That's what I laid out. Plus, I had these different domains like foundational knowledge, which I think polyvagal theory is. And I discussed what I thought a psychological concept is. And I had these different levels of things. So listen to that episode. If you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend you go back to last week's episode 149 and give that one a listen. In this one, I got a number of responses from people. Everyone was really cool about it, by the way. Everyone respectfully disagreed or expressed appreciation and agreed, or maybe something in the middle and said they were kind of just interested in the ideas. So this is from Instagram, this is from email. And I want to share a couple things that were more in support of the idea and appreciative of it. And then I think next week I'm going to share a couple that were in disagreement. So I'm not going to let myself off the hook. So yeah, I'll show those next week. But for this week, we're going to stick to the ones that people felt like, hey, this was really helpful for me. There's a couple short ones and then one longer one that I'm going to spend a little bit more time on. This person on Instagram said, so true, talking about my parts, shadows, whatever, didn't help me in any way. It just made things complicated and kept me in my head, analyzing while emotions showed up. I couldn't integrate them. Getting into my body, learning how to really sense myself through the day without labeling was my game changer with a capital G and a red heart. And so to that person, I'm super happy that they found what is working for them. The parts thing, the shadows thing, the whatever thing, these can be helpful. They're not for everybody, and I don't think they're necessary. The next one I want to share here is from Instagram, I believe. Yeah. They say these are constructs to help us conceptualize ourselves to achieve a measure of emotional balance, etc. And yes, ultimately, it is just us. I think of ego as a concept, a possible choice, not an intrinsic part of me. As others have commented, I deeply appreciate your thinking and perspective. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. These are constructs or concepts. That's the word I used last week. To help us conceptualize ourselves to achieve a measure of emotional balance, etc. So these are ways, top down, to think that may help contain or reduce dysregulation. And from polyvagal theory, we are really focused on autonomic dysregulation and how that shows up in your thoughts and your behaviors and your impulses and your sensations. So it's all those things. But really, these top-down narratives, these top-down thoughts, reframes, these top-down psychological concepts can help in that way. It's a conceptualization. It helps us to reduce activation, maybe. I think at a minimum, that's the benefit. At a maximum, the benefit from what I can see is that it may help people get a step closer or more directly to their felt sense. I don't think it's necessary, but for some people, it may really be very, very helpful. Awesome. I'm happy for you if that's you. Someone else says, I like this one a lot. This is and it kind of like adding to. They said, love this. Concepts are helpful until they're not. For me, it's about fluidity and flexibility to put down what's not working when it's not working, and pick it back up if it works again and continuing on with that. So I like that idea a lot, that these concepts can be tools that we pick up and use when we need to. If that works for you, I am really happy for you. I'm very much on board with that. I have no issue with that or with you using these, but just realize that these are ideas. I think it's really important to realize what they are and what they are not. These are ideas. They are not you, because it's just you. All right, so this is a longer email I got from somebody that actually it really touched me in a much different way. I get a lot of love from people, and I really appreciate it. I get a lot of support. People write to me expressing that they're grateful, and that means a lot to me. It really, but this one for some reason meant a lot. It was different. It meant a lot to me in a different way. And I think that with last week, me putting myself out there with that idea, which is not, I don't think it's revolutionary, but it kind of is, because nobody in the psychology realm, the therapy realm, talks that way. If they think it, they don't say it. And that was me for quite a while. I just kind of kept it to myself. So it's not revolutionary. It seems pretty common sense, but it kind of is revolutionary because no one's saying that. But I don't want that to be revolutionary. I want this to be clearly understood for what it is. All right, so this person on or through email says, they say, I feel the need to agree that of course you are not my therapist. I'm really glad they opened up with that. I feel the need to agree that of course you are not my therapist. I have one. It's cool. If you can't tell by now, I have a lot of anxiety, trepidation, cautiousness, worry, concern around boundaries and my license and making sure I can keep doing my profession, which I love. And so I get a little antsy. When it comes to this content creation stuff. Anyhow, so you're not my therapist. I have one. It's cool. Whew, I'm good. All right, we're good. They go on to say, I loved seeing and hearing your thoughts about psychological concepts. In fact, it was validating to hear what you had to say. I am like pumping my fist right now. Like I just threw a touchdown. It was validating to hear what you had to say. I agree that they can be helpful in giving a person an expansive metaphor to work with. So just right there, we're on the same page. Love it. Sounds great. We get it. They're a tool. You can use these top-down regulation. Awesome. And they go on to say ... But in the online arena, they often seem to be mere buzzwords thrown out to entice you to purchase a self-help program. And yeah, I think you're right about this. Now, I do want to say, I don't think that these ideas inherently are there to take advantage of people. I think that absolutely could happen. And I think especially with the people that are desperate for change, that might be you, dear listener, that might be you, fellow Stucknut. The person who's desperate for change will latch on to what they think or what seems to be helpful. And I don't blame them. So when it comes to these psychological concepts, that tells me it's even more important that we're very clear with what they are and what they are not. And they are not real. These are ideas. I think it's very important that we do that. So in the online world, they seem more like buzzwords to get you to purchase a self-help program. I've spent years thinking I was the problem in my quote-unquote complicated marriage and my quote difficult, unquote, relationship with my parents. Spoiler alert, I am not. The emotional abuse of my childhood set me up to accept behavior from my husband that is not okay. I have read tons of self-help books, taken 30-day challenges, even purchased one recovery program. I followed people on social media who claimed a person must do shadow work, quote unquote shadow work, to overcome trauma. Parentheses, it says, fine, how do I do that? It's a great question. Shadow work to overcome trauma, or who claimed a person must heal their inner child. There's no child inside of you, by the way, people. All right. Had to interject that in. There's no child inside of you. Who claimed a person must heal their inner child. And in parentheses, they put, sounds good. How the hell do I do that? Question mark. End parentheses. Now, I do want to say, again, I don't think that these things are necessarily bad. I don't think that someone who espouses these ideas is necessarily out to take advantage of you. I think that could happen. I think we need to be on alert or aware and really scrutinize who we are listening to. And I invite you to do the same thing for me. If I'm not coming at this with integrity, if I'm not coming at this in a way that makes sense, if I'm not backing up my claims, if I'm not explaining what I'm telling you, you probably should stop listening to me. I mean, like, that sounds awful. If I'm just here spouting ideas and saying this is the way it is and here's a course, like, yeah, that's not super helpful. I do the best I can to provide free information that is clear, structured, that makes sense. Even complex ideas, I do the best I can to do that for free. Yeah, I do sell stuff as well. I need to make a living. And I have some goals in my life for myself and my family. My wife and I, we have some major goals. So I give out a lot of free stuff. It's not going to stop. But yeah, I do sell stuff as well. They go on to say, the thing is, they never tell you anything specific about how to do those things that isn't sit with your feelings, quote unquote, sit with your feelings. And that maybe that is kind of the gauge there, is how specific are they being? They're teaching concepts, but how specific are they? And, maybe I think there is this mindset out there, or marketing mindset, that you keep things general and then you get people to buy the course where you sell the real clarity or the answers or whatever. And I do the best I can to be very clear and give a lot of stuff. And I've answered questions. I do the best I can. But yeah, I also do want to be able to sell a course. You know what I mean? The Polyvagal 101 course, like, I have that available for free, but there's ads in it, and it's audio only, and there's no downloads to go along with it, like PDFs and whatnot. So the course that I'm selling for Polyvagal 101, it's the same information. I mean, really, you could listen to it for free on the podcast. I have tons of polyvagal stuff everywhere, but the course comes with some extra stuff. So it's like there's a group chat. You can come to my monthly open office hour. You have the video. So all the learning is condensed. There's no ads. So it comes with other stuff. And I think that's a model that works well for me. Let me get back on track here. Sorry, I am way off track. The thing is, they never tell you anything specific about how to do these things that isn't just sit with your feelings. And in parentheses, they say, yeah, you can totally re-traumatize yourself if you don't know what that means. LOL. Yes, you're right. She is absolutely right. If you just jump into the stuff, it's possible to re-traumatize yourself. And they go on to say, or journal, meditate, etc. Yeah, if you're expecting to somehow get help by just sitting and journaling about the horrible things that happened to you or the things you didn't receive, you could be setting yourself up for re-traumatization. You could be reinforcing your own stuck defensive state without realizing it, or without wanting to, obviously. But it's definitely possible. So the person says you can totally re-traumatize yourself. They never tell you anything specific about how to do those things that isn't sit with your feelings, or journal, or meditate, etc. And again, in parentheses, they say the same things that every other modality seems to suggest. I am still working through accepting that I've been in one sort of abusive relationship or another for my entire life, and then working out what I'm going to do from here. I've made hella progress, in capital letters, hella. I've made hella progress in the last 6 months. all those psychological concepts you talked about didn't really help me at all. The things that actually did help me were, number one, my therapist saying in regard to my marriage, maybe the problem isn't you. Also, other things that she says, she's great. So I love that. Number one is having a good therapist, someone that she feels a connection with, apparently. And the therapist saying those 5 words. Now, I'm not saying that therapists have magic words to give you. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that these 5 words have any magic in them or any inherent therapeutic properties. I'm not saying that you should buy a course that is labeled or called "Maybe the Problem Isn't You." I'm just saying that sentence for this person meant a lot. And it had more of an impact for this person than all those other psychological concepts. That was number one. Number two, polyvagal theory. I have been a wreck for so long that I thought the goal was to better compartmentalize my anxiety/depression so that I could keep being productive. Safe and Social was a revelation. Learning that much of my anxiety, depression, and shutdown could directly be traced to events where I felt threatened and that it was a biological process and not a shameful weakness. Whoa, capital letters, whoa, huge. Because the shutdowns fueled my shame, which fueled more shutdown. Being able to remove the shame from that hellish feedback loop has been revolutionary. So number one was having a therapist with some words of wisdom. Number two, learning polyvagal theory, having a new top-down foundational knowledge, not concept, foundational knowledge. Number three, finding an online support group for people in a long-term relationship with BPD. Yes, I know I can't diagnose him, my therapist can't diagnose him, etc. But to find a group of ridiculously supportive people who all share eerily similar experiences has been freaking amazing. So number one, therapist, words of wisdom. Number two, polyvagal theory, top-down narrative. Number three, online support group. And now, I'm going to reiterate this. I am not telling you to drop your shadow work. If it's helpful and you're liking it, have at it. Have at it. So I'm not saying to do these 3 things and you're all set. I'm saying for this person, actually I'm not saying it, I'm reading it. This person said these things were more helpful than the psychological concepts. It's not for everybody. Okay, that's obvious. It's also not real. It's an idea, and I want to keep reinforcing that. These are ideas that you either buy into or you don't. One of the real quick. Next week I'll talk about the rebuttals or people who departed from these ideas, from my ideas that I'm that I'm putting forth here. And one of them was someone on Instagram they deleted the comment, it looks like, which is unfortunate. But they had put something like, I put out, posts saying that these psychological concepts are not real. And they wrote in response saying that they are no less real than the polyvagal theory. And that me saying so was actually my shadow talking. Was that what it was? Or no, it was one of my parts talking. See, I'm already getting confused. One of my parts was saying that. So we have this example where I'm saying, I don't buy into this. This does not work for me. I'm not interested in these types of ideas. I don't buy into it. And that for this person who heard that or read that, for them, that was actually evidence that it was true, that these ideas were true. So me saying I don't buy into this was actually reinforcing of the ideas for that person, which I find fascinating. So it's not for everybody. If you're into it, cool, love it, best of luck to you, awesome. They wrap it up here with a paragraph that says, anyway, I recently commented in that group that we're all heading in roughly the same direction, but we each need different tools to get there. Part of being in the group is seeing what everyone else has in their tool belt and figuring out which tools work for you. And so that was like what I was just commenting on, basically. If this psychological concept as a tool works for you, have at it. Have at it. I think it's a problem if you see everything through that lens. I think it's a problem if you see someone saying, I don't want to be a part of this, as evidence that your ideas are more true. That seems to be an issue. I think it has a place like that comment I read earlier, where they said, for me, it's about fluidity and flexibility to put down what's not working when it's not working and pick it back up if it works again, and continuing on. Like that fits. So this idea of what's in our tool belt and utilizing what's helpful at that time, cool. And utilize it, run with it until it's kind of burned out, or maybe it's not helpful or a better idea. You're ready for something else. No, there's not like, we're all human, yeah, but we all need different things to get to a shared destination. I do think we have a shared destination. I think we all are going biological. We have this impulse to be self-regulated, to provide co-regulation, to connect with each other, to be able to exist and play and in stillness. I think that we do have a shared destination. Now, what it looks like for you to get there is different than me. You might like the parts work. Awesome. I don't. Right? So that's one level. Part of what I do, though, and how I want to help people who are interested in the way I think, I want to spread a different idea, which is you don't need these. You have everything that you need within you. I want to put that out there. And you can disagree with that, and you can say, no, Justin, I don't. And I believe you. That's fine. But I'm saying ultimately, we have what we need. I don't use these ideas personally. I don't use these ideas in therapy. I've worked with some severely traumatized people of all walks of life. I have never utilized any metaphors to that extent at all. So I don't think it's necessary. It can be helpful. Yeah. All right, they go on saying, so many of the psychological concepts you talked about just did not resonate with me. For me, they seem like just one more fad diet of the month. It's a gigantic relief to hear someone say, it's just you. Just me. I like me. I like feeling safe and social. I like collecting things that make me feel that way. Even if some days are impossible or it's difficult to hold on to that safe feeling, I like the simplicity of this. No complicated metaphors and concepts. Just find who, what, where makes you feel safe and social. Practice. Some days are still going to suck, but it gets easier. Bam. I think it's a really great summary. I don't disagree with any of that. What I will add is that it seems like this person, you and I work similar. When something just seems simple and clear and structured and straight to the point, it's like, yes, that clicks, that there's something within me that lights up. No, it's not a part. It's not I don't know. It's not a part. It's me. I feel lit up. I feel a sensation of connection. I feel excitement. I have this sensation in my brain of like magnets clicking together. Like this idea and this other idea. It's like, yes, it's an experience. It's a sensation. It's not a part. And maybe parts connect to sensations and experience fine. But I'm having a true experience. And I like that simplicity. It's more direct in my opinion. And that works for me. And it seems like it works for this person as well. And I want to communicate these ideas more. And, maybe this works for you. Maybe this idea, this way of thinking works for you. And I want to build that because I don't see it anywhere else. I don't know where else you would go for that. Maybe it's out there. I don't spend a ton of time perusing other people's content and whatnot. So maybe it's out there. But I don't see it in any obvious way. It seems like what's popular is like psychological concepts. And so I want to kind of create a dialogue, or at least a monologue on my end of something else, of something different, of something that is clearer, more to the point, simple, structured. And so I'm going to keep working on that. Next week, what I want to do is talk about a couple of the, departures from the idea, or people were saying no, and this disagreement. I'll put it that way. And I think it's important to come from that angle as well. It's nothing really shocking, but I think it's interesting. So next week I'll give that some time. Otherwise, hey, thank you for being a part of episode 150. I mean, damn, 150 episodes, huh? Not too shabby. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being here as long as you have been. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for whatever, for being a part of one of my courses. Just thank you. I appreciate you. I love doing this. I'm still into it. It's been a few years, 150 episodes. I'm still into it, and I don't plan on stopping. I have a lot of ideas and things that I'm creating for you, and I hope that you're here for the next one and the next one and the next one. All right. Anyhow, thank you so much for listening. Fellow Stucknut, I do hope you've learned something new to help you in your process of getting unstuck. Head on over to justinlmft.com. I have a ton of resources. There is the blog, the book, the ebook, the free PDF downloads, YouTube videos, courses, the podcast is on the way. I got a bunch of stuff on the website. Head on over to justinlmft.com. Bye. This and other content I create is not therapy, not intended to be therapy or be a replacement for therapy. Nothing in this creates or indicates a therapeutic relationship. Please consult with your therapist or seek for one in your area if you are experiencing mental health symptoms. Nothing should be understood to be specific life advice. It is for educational and entertainment purposes only.